And it's just gone 1 o'clock, and as I promised, we've got the fabulous Ronald Downs and his beautiful daughter Nicole in the studio. Hello, guys, and welcome to Zone Radio.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's Bounds, by the way. I know we have been talking for a couple of weeks
I always
now,
get it wrong.
But it's fine.
It's sort of stuck there now.
So just call me Ronald. But great to be back and continue our discussion on the power within and unity consciousness and today's fabulous topic, which is as inside, so outside.
Yeah. You know, that's something I've been working on since we spoke a month ago. It's been very much in the forefront of my mind. Often we know things our entire lifetime.
Yes.
As above, so below, and as within, so without. But then suddenly something happens and you have a complete epiphany, and that saying takes on a whole different meaning to you. And that's what happened to me in the past month. So it's very fresh in my mind and a very strong topic for me at the moment. So I'm looking forward to what you have to tell us today on this.
Fabulous. And also sharing.
Yeah.
We can have a great conversation.
Well, let's go. Let's hit it.
Okay, so these epiphanies are fabulous because the one, I've also heard it, it's like you can change the world with your mind and all these wonderful sayings. And if you want to change the world, it starts with you, etc., etc., etc. So I came across a fabulous guy called Matt Kahn, another spiritual teacher.
Yes, I've heard about
him. And he kind of shared a couple of simple facts about how to just flip this again. And so he said, just look into the world and realize that every single thing, every single being, every single person is actually you reflected back to yourself.
So true.
And when that happens, you cannot not but look at everybody with beauty and love, kindness,
compassion.
And so it just changes everything. You go into the world realizing that actually because we are one from the same source.
You start treating people differently.
Exactly. And you start to say,
want to be treated.
Okay, there's Jacques. He's saying something to me, back to me. It's actually me being reflected back to myself.
You stop judging. Basically,
I mean, look
or
at
less.
that. Everything
that's a work in
starts to kind of just, dissipate.
The pennies drop.
And because, the old paradigm is the world's a bad place. It's a tough place. You've got to work hard. You've got to kind of move into spaces and fight for the right to be here.
And that is where, as within, so without comes in.
And so you flip that and you say, no, it's nothing like that actually, because the world you see out there is created by you.
Yep.
Your thoughts, your imagination, and how you walk into the world and project yourself into the world, that comes back to you. So it's such an amazing thing to know there's a mirror outside every single day, through the animal, through the plants.
Everything you come in contact
with. Through the people that you meet. And, the first thing is, that person's not saying nice things and da-da-da-da-dum, and you go, hang on a second.
There's a lesson.
Yeah. And, the old Hawaiian teachings of Ho'oponopono, if people aren't familiar with that, it's kind of 4 simple sayings. It's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, and I love you. And what you really are saying is every person you meet may be angry to you today, but then look within at your own anger. Yeah. They may be unkind to you, look within at your own unkindness. So this inside-out flip is, as you say, a trite saying. It's banded about in all the books, but when you really start to practice it,
that's when
the magic starts
falling into
happen.
Place. Yes. Yeah, and it is truly magic.
Yeah.
But you start seeing things completely, the whole world you see differently, and it comes from you. We creators.
Correct.
We truly are creators. We've been conditioned so differently from the moment that we start getting concepts in our minds, starting to string sentences together. We've been conditioned to think differently. We're taught to look without instead of within. And that's a mindset we have to change, and that's when all of this starts falling into place. Am I right?
Absolutely. So we went to another chap who we've mentioned before, and sometimes you mention his name, and there's a kind of a division as to how he's received. But just think of him as a spiritual teacher or somebody who's bringing information to the world. And he said, and I'm so with him, we don't educate the young kids any longer. They come into the world, and they just arrive, and then we don't teach them anything. We listen to them. We ask them questions, and we let them teach us. Yeah. Now, you take that into adulthood, and you do the same. Instead of thinking that the world's a bad place and it's going to impact on you, you say to yourself, the world's a magical place. What can I learn from it? and I bring my internal magic in. And all of a sudden, that as within, so without concept becomes so powerful because you can create the world around you. No, let's change that. You create the world in front of you all the time.
We've all had experiences, every single person, where you wake up the wrong side of the bed. No? And then everything just perpetuates. It just downhill from there.
Yeah.
The whole day is just a bummer of a day. And it's because now you feel groggy inside. So that's what you reflect out into the world. So you just get more of that. It's as simple as that. If you change that, if you nip it in the butt, that moment that you feel, oh, yeah, I'm going, it's the wrong direction, you start changing your mindset. The next minute you know, oh, you need to stop, you're running late, change the mindset. The parking's waiting for you right in front of the door. You know, the lights are green, that kind of stuff. Everything starts falling into place. It starts from within you. And that's a very simple little example, but it's like that.
Absolutely. I just want to share a story when I was thinking about our talk today and preparing, and my mind went back to the days when I was through our Dream Exchange program, which is a different name then, and I was running beach cleanup projects over the Christmas season. 3 teams on 3 beaches, and each team had a team of 10 and a kind of a leader. And halfway through the month of December, when we were running the program, I had a really frantic call, and the one member of the one group on the one beach said, "You better come quickly because we're about to kill the leader. We're going to take him out." And I said, "Why?" "No, he's stolen our money from us and he hasn't been fair and blah, 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 blah." And I said, "Where is he?" He says, "He's on the one side of the beach and we on the other as a team, and we're actually going to, you better intervene because we're actually going to take him out." So I charge off to Camps Bay. There's this poor guy, 6'3" of him, all white as a sheet, hiding under a tree, and the team on the other side of the beach. And he says, no, he didn't steal, blah, blah, blah. I went back to the team and they said, "No, he's lying." Got back to him. I said, "You've got to tell me the truth here because obviously I need to fire you from this program. And the best thing we need to do is I'll get you in a car and get you out of here as fast as possible." And he said, "Please." He's shaking. He's like crying. They were going to beat him up and do bad things to him. And then in this epiphany, he said to me, "Maybe I think we need to look at this in a different way." And I said, "Young man, tell me the truth." "Yeah, he did take a bit of money. His family's poor. His wife's lost a job and blah, 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 blah." So I said, what we're going to do now is we are going to go back to the team and you're going to apologize to them and share your story. No, he can't. He's now even whiter than he was before. He's shaking. He's almost crying. And I said, "Hop into the car." We drove to the other end of Camps Bay Beach and the gang's waiting for him. All 10 of them in a semicircle. I just see anger. I just see vengeance on their faces. And I walked him up to this group and I said, "Your leader's got something to share with you." And this guy stood there for 2 minutes. He was crying and shaking and he actually couldn't speak. But we allowed him to, and eventually he told them the story about his bad times, and he did take a little bit of their daily stipend and he used it for himself and his starving family and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I said to the team, "Okay, anybody like to respond to this?" And at this point, anything could have happened. And the one lady stepped forward and said, "Yes, you did wrong. We understand where it comes from, but actually, I forgive you." And the next person stepped forward and said, "Yeah, that wasn't a good thing you did. You're still a good leader.
But you're taking responsibility."
And he stepped forward, and every single one of them stood in front of him and shared the story that his actions weren't great. But they understood and they forgave him. And I said, "So what punishment do we mete out to this guy?" And then they turned away, "Give us a moment," and they went into a circle. At this point, we're still on the edge of getting seriously wrong.
Can go either way.
And they came back and they said, "You know what? We've all made mistakes. We've forgiven you, and you can stay our leader." And there's Ubuntu.
It's a learning.
There's compassion. There's kindness. I was in tears that day because I learned so much. But what do? Fire him from the program, beat him up, shove him into the
It's not a productive.
They made the
counterproductive decision.
And there's the power within. They weren't talking the power within. They were just talking a natural instinct of kindness and compassion to somebody who did wrong, had the courage to come and apologize. And that's the magic of Ubuntu and the power within and why we're on this earth, to walk each other home hand in hand. Eh?
And it hurts way more than if they actually beaten him up physically. Let me tell you, my dad was like that as a kid growing up. I wasn't just given the belt. You had to sit down and think about what you did wrong and then admit to your things and what you're going to do about it and all of that. And it would make you feel so bad sometimes that you vowed never to overstep that line ever again.
Yeah.
And that's the power of forgiveness and talk and do it with love, from a place of love.
Yeah.
It's got so much bigger impact than if they just gave him a few claps.
Yeah. And that team was so much more powerful after that for the rest of that program.
Yeah, probably the most powerful of all your teams.
They were the most together team after that, you know. And I mean, he learned, they learned, and boy did I learn just watching the process unfold. And so this power that we have inside of us, you know, what is it? Infinite, unlimited. You know, we always, also the other thing is, Neil Donald Walsh many years ago was asked to write 3 books, and they were called The Conversations with God. And right at the end, he says, "Okay, God, we've been doing these books for 3 years. Give me the skinny here, you know." And God threw back her head and laughed and said, "You wanted me to summarize these 3 books?" He said, "Give me some nuggets." And here are the nuggets. We're all one. There's enough for all. And there's nothing to do. So let's get back to the first one. We're all one. You know, that's in every book and what. But do we practice being all one every day? Do we see ourselves in every single being, in every plant, in every animal? That's the practice.
It's hard work.
It's just beautiful.
You've got to remind yourself every single moment. Catch yourself when you judge. When someone drives in front of you and you react. Yeah. It happens 100 times to all of us. Yeah. And it's that moment of pause. Yeah. Instead of reacting. Pause, and then you see the person differently and with love, and you relax, and then the situation relaxes, and
amazing.
It's different.
You know, because so if, and you take that further, what is Rumi's wonderful one, you know, when you know that you are part of the universe, you are the universe, then there's no fear, and there's no pain, and whatever, and why are you here? You're here to create more. I just want to share something with you on that subject, a little piece by Eric Butterworth.
Don't know, Eric.
And it says, it's so simple. The great truth is that man is a spiritual being who brings with him a life to unfold, a power to release, love to express, and a veritable kingdom of heaven to outpicture. Love that. He doesn't begin life empty, but as a dynamic spiritual potentiality. Now, in those few short lines, I'm not sure it's a piece from a book or it's just a little poem, but in that short, it almost covers everything we've been talking about for so long. Yeah. But to practice it is the key. So let's just take the power to release. That means you've got the power to create anything. Let's just look at a veritable kingdom of heaven to outpicture. I love that one because we always think that the world's impacting us. I mean, Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camps, he said, he was a fabulous philosopher and psychiatrist and whatever. And, you know, his books on man's search for meaning. And he said, isn't this amazing? That power that we have within us and that choice is that while we're in these concentration camps, and we know our friends are going off to the gas chambers every second day and so on, he says, when it came down to the absolute last part of what the breath of life was, he said, there's a person with a crust. That's all they had. And they were willing to share that crust with somebody else who didn't have food to have that day. And he says, right down when you're in your deepest, darkest moment, you still have the choice and the power to create something different. And so that's been books written about the, you know, man's search for meaning and the power. So bless Viktor Frankl for coming through that experience and observing the most incredible beauty of humanity in the most unkind, difficult circumstances, that when you've got that last crust, share it with somebody. And guess what? The entire universe opens up at that moment and says, now we know what the human beings are getting it. You know, they've got the power to create a better space and place.
I'm sure you see it all the time with your work with Dream Exchange and myself with the charities I do and all of that. The people that step up to help is people that's been rock bottom themselves, that's been through that dark night of the soul, as we call it. They've really had to search to find themselves again. They're the ones who understand what it's like to be without love, without anything, and not just physical stuff, earthly stuff, but without emotional and support and love from people. They're the ones who's been down there, who step up and help.
Yes.
And with all of this, there's something else I want to add to this. Victim mentality. Something that is sort of, it gets me riled because people slip into victim mentality very easily, not realizing that they're a victim of themselves.
Yes.
Not from the outside. It's not the world that's doing this to you. It's not the universe doing this to you. You're doing this to yourself.
Yes.
And this is all about the power within.
Absolutely.
You've got that power to change that victim mentality. It's easy just to say, oh, it's not my fault. And yes, sometimes we get knocked down, but there's a reason, there's a lesson for that. It's not just by chance. You ask for it on a subconscious level for that knock.
I mean, that's a fabulous example because through the Ho'oponopono process, which is an older Hawaiian spiritual teaching, it's all about forgiveness and it's all about releasing what you hold, which is like victimhood and pain and suffering, and releasing it out so that you're making space for inspiration to come in. Yeah. And you go, well, I'm not responsible for everything. What the Ho'oponopono process asks you to do is to take responsibility for everything. Yeah. And you go, no, not the war in Ukraine, not the Trump issue about the next election and what's happening in the UK and what's happening here with unemployment. But if you take responsibility for that, you'll change the universe, the world, the galaxy. And so here's a fabulous story. The people who brought the ancient teachings of the Ho'oponopono practice back into the Western world a few decades ago was the guy who was driving it. And the story he tells is he's the psychiatrist, psychologist, and he was the most renowned in America. And they said, we've got a real problem that in one of the islands somewhere, we've got this jail. And I could be getting the story slightly incorrectly, but the essence of it is true. And they said to him, we've got about, in one section of the jail, all the rapists, all the murderers, all the high intense people are in one section. And we've tried everything. We've brought in psychiatrists, psychologists, we've done training, we've done everything, and nothing's shifted them. And he said, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it differently. I will make a contribution here, but I'm not going to meet any of them. He said, no, but how do you do that? Just give me their files. And so what he took is the files of these 30 extremely dangerous inmates. And as he read every file, he took responsibility. He took responsibility for the pain and suffering they'd created in the world. And you think, no, this is really flipping stuff.
Yeah, now we're going far-fetched.
Now we're going, okay. And he took it on and he said, I thank you. Please forgive me. I love you. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. To every single one of those. And he said, my job is done. And he left. Never met them. A month or so later, they phoned him and said, what the hell did you do? And he said, all I did was I took responsibility because they are me and I am them. Yep. And all of a sudden, things started to change.
And if listeners
they didn't have to have them shackled any longer. They started to treat each other kindly. And many of them actually rehabilitated over time. Yeah. And to this day, they probably didn't even know what happened. So there's a work that we can do other than the 3D physical at another level to change it. And if you just go out and love and kindness and share that with everybody every day, you can achieve what that man achieved. And because we've judged that person before we've even met them.
Science and quantum physics have proven to us that all of that, what we're talking about, is possible because our every thought impacts everything else. Every thought that we have impacts the entire universe. And it's instant. It travels faster than light, our thought. And that is something that's only been disproved 20 years ago, because we thought nothing travels faster than light. Our thoughts travels faster than light. It's instant. And it can have an effect on something on the other side of the universe instantly.
Yeah.
And we do affect each other. That's why healing works, why we can heal ourselves and other people. All these kind of things, how we can communicate sometimes without knowing it. We don't realize, but we know. Before the phone rings, we know who it is. That we all have experiences like that, but we still, it's a long call to actually believe it.
Yeah.
But we see it over and over and over again. Yeah, we've got to start really believing in that, because we do, when we can, affect each other every day. And it's the world we live in at the moment, we created. All of us collectively created this. All this nonsense that we're in, this craziness, we created it, so we can uncreate it, make it different. It's just our mindsets we have to change.
Yeah, so I mean, the first one we flipped here is the universe. So the world impacts you, and we're going to have this kind of stimulus response reaction. And the flip of that is everything out there you're creating.
Yeah.
Through your thoughts and your minds. All
every
the time.
moment. That's why you've got to watch every thought, every word that comes out of your. The spoken word is incredibly powerful.
And so, you know, what I do every day you go out there, think about every word you're going to make it before you make it. Think about everything you're going to say. Think about everything you're going to do. It's not easy.
Because
the impacts come.
Hard.
But when we realize the impacts are coming our way to teach us to be this enlightened being, to be this creator of the magic and creator of the magnificence out there, it completely changes everything.
It does. And it is very hard, but it does get easier. And we, in Western society, we don't do rituals anymore, little rituals. It doesn't have to be big, showy off rituals.
Yeah.
Little things to remind you. I've just started doing a bowl next to my bed again, like the Tibetans do. And every night you turn the cup over, upside down, and you say thank you for your day's blessings and all of that. And tomorrow you turn the cup right side up again to fill it up, to have it filled up, and you say what you want to be poured into that cup. It's a silly little ritual. But by doing that, in 21 days, your mind has got that habit. Yes. You don't need the cup anymore. You naturally do that.
Yeah.
It's the same with catching yourself, pausing, and thinking the right thoughts and saying the right things. It gets easier. We pick up a bad habit like that.
Yeah.
But to get a good habit, understood in that.
Yeah. And so it's you know, how do I practice it? It's so simple. You don't need to go on courses. You don't need to. In fact, you know, the new teachings, which are the old teachings, are coming back to us to say everything's perfect, everything's amazing. Because if we are all uniquely magical, amazing beings, then we're all holding each other's hands to create this new 5D earth, which is a golden earth. And so I share this with anybody that wants to listen to me. And if they don't want to listen to me, I strap them to the chair so they can listen to me. But generally, I'm saying we're already in a golden earth.
Yes.
And
that's how you
here
perceive
it is. It's kindness and compassion. It's collaboration. It's connection. It's partnerships. And they go, not in my lifetime. And I guess it's not going to be on your lifetime because you haven't gone into that yet. But guess what? I'm already experiencing it, and it's in my lifetime. Yep. I get waved at, smiled at, because I'm putting it out there every single day. And it's such a simple practice. Such a simple practice just to keep focusing on the beauty, the love, the kindness. And every day you see that in people. And suddenly the person who was not the greatest waitress is suddenly
your favorite.
Favorite. She's like amazing. You know, that's like serving you so beautifully. And anywhere else that you'd like to imagine this work. I'm probably one of the few people that no, there are many of us. But taxis let me in because I let them in.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of physical science techniques. You just watch the wheels on the side of the road and if they start moving your back off. You know that wonderful saying about the guy goes to church and he's praying, you know, help, please God, help me, you know. Win the lotto, and every Friday they go to shul, every Sunday they go to church. Please help me win the lotto, and eventually the voice comes booming down. Hey, Ronald, meet me halfway. Buy a ticket. Yeah. And so we just buy that ticket and meet the universe halfway. But there's a lot of your half that you've got to do, and it's not hard work, but it's a practice.
It's a constant. You've got to keep
love,
at it.
Kindness, compassion.
And something I'd like to add there, I told this to a client yesterday morning again. There's no right and there's no wrong, people.
No.
At the bottom line is there is no right, there is no wrong. You must listen to yourself. Follow your own intuition.
Yep.
Our inner senses are so powerful and will never lie to you. Our listeners are probably tired of hearing that because I keep telling them probably 3 times a week, listen to that little voice. That little voice will never lie to you. But it's so true. There's no right, there's no wrong. You do what's right for you, as long as you don't harm anyone else. And it's, then you do what's right for you. Follow that intuition. It's a good lighthouse, a guide.
No, it absolutely is. Because, I mean, if you think about what we were taught, the opposite of what we're saying today, when you flip that round, it really brings out the inspiration and the imagination. And that power within. And suddenly you almost feel magnetic, not that you being magnetic to others, they are being magnetic to you. And so if you flip these things around and you look at it really deeply, you go, why is there war? Oh, because we've created armies. Why are there sick people? Oh, because we've created hospitals.
We give our attention to all of that.
And so if you flip that round, you don't like try and make war stop. You just expand peace.
Oh, there's so much. This list can go on and on. This morning with my client this morning, I had this thing about aging. Our concept of aging, we shouldn't be aging the way we are. And we're only starting to touch the tip of the iceberg on that one. But it's sickness, aging, the global affairs. But we lend our attention to all of that. We sit in front of our televisions every night watching the news about the war in the Ukraine and Israel. And by giving it our attention, and it's good to know what's happening in the world. I'm not saying you shouldn't know what's happening in the world. But by giving it your constant attention, we're creating it.
Correct. So you come back to that chap called Matt Kahn. He's got a lovely thing. He says he's done video upon video, and he puts all sorts of amazing work out into the world. And he said, I'm going to give you a nugget now. It's like a summary. And I'll keep coming back to this nugget. And everybody's like, hey, let's take out the pen. We're going to listen to the nugget. It's going to be so profound. And he says, the universe loves what you do all the time. So now you want to go into unity consciousness? Love what Donald Trump's doing, because he's doing what he's doing. Love Kamala Harris. She's doing what she's doing.
It's a difficult one.
Yeah, that's why. That's how you're going from separation to unity consciousness.
Absolutely.
While the governments exist, love what they're doing, because when we love what we're all doing, it's going to dissipate. Government will dissolve because we no longer need anybody to have power over us.
Over the time I've been here on Zone Radio, I've been very outspoken about all the political stuff. But now I laugh about it. I don't take it so serious anymore. We've got to know what's happening out there, but I see it as theater. And I laugh about it with our listeners. Kamala is one of those people that I laugh at but I'm not angry at her anymore. I don't freak out about what's happening there. Yeah. That's a step in the right direction to change our world. One by one, listener by listener. Yeah, we all. Yeah, but that group, when it becomes a group consciousness, then it's like a domino effect, and it just goes.
And just remember that because this person who's in front of you now is reflecting you back to yourself. And they got their cell phone on loud in the restaurant, one of my bugbears, which I'm slowly working through.
We all have loads of hundreds of
Then you look at the person and go, the universe loves the fact that they got their cell phone on loud now. And it suddenly it drops. It gets released.
Yeah, you start.
Love the way the taxi cuts in front of us in the traffic.
Let him go. Let him go.
And then you let it go.
Yeah.
And suddenly you start to seeing, and that's part of unity. And then all the distraction around the world is to keep us in separation. When you dissolve separation back into unity, suddenly you're in a different world.
Ronald, the last few times I was angry was not at what someone else did. It was at myself for reacting. Because I know better now.
Yeah.
But you still fall into that trap every now and again, like with a taxi. And before you know it, oh my goodness, I'm going to have a heart attack if I don't take a deep breath now and calm down. And then you're angry at yourself for why do you do that? You know not to go there. You're just perpetuating it, making it worse. But that is part of the process, nipping yourself every time you go there. And it gets shorter. The process gets quicker and quicker. Before you know it, it's instant. So we're out of time.
I don't believe it.
Believe me, half an hour has gone like that. But the bottom line is our topic today, as within, so without. It's what you project out into the world, and that's what you will see. It's how you feel inside, the love you carry. If you carry only love, that's what you're going to see, is love out there. If people want to get hold of you and Dream Exchange.
Yeah, dreamexchange.co.za. We're helping unemployed people and unemployed students back into economic self-empowerment. And it's a journey we've been doing for many, many years, and it's a platform. You'll also find our YouTube channel on there. There's actually two, Dream Exchange YouTube channel and the Dream Create, which is a lot of the topics we're discussing here. And really it's about the power within, it's about inside out. It's about, bottom line is every single one of us are here and we're magnificent creators. Let's go forth and create magic and love and kindness and beauty in the world.
Yeah, we all matter. We can all make a difference. Ronald, Nicole, thank you for joining us. Good to see you guys. I'm already excited about the next one.
Great, so am I.
Enjoy the rest of your day.